Another part of the Uptown experience was attending football games at Tulane Stadium, a more than 80,000-seat arena rising above the stately homes on Audubon Boulevard. During its almost 50-year history, the stadium hosted the Sugar Bowl and 3 Super Bowls, and was home to the Tulane Green Wave.
The first time I went was right after the war. I was 6 or 7 years old. You could buy a child season ticket for $1.25. And we all sat in the end zone, and Eddie Price was the big star for the Tulane Green Wave. He's a hell of a player. But as a child, I remember my parents every Saturday had a cocktail party, a pre-game party. And all our friends would come in, and everybody wore coats and ties to the game. You didn't go to the game without a coat and tie. My mother would be downtown buying a dress, to go to the football game. And the kids said, the only thing I remember is buying candy apples and throwing them at each other. I couldn't tell you the score of the game. It's the first time I ever had cotton candy was at the Tulane football game.
The couples in the neighborhood with their children would go sit in the south end on Willow Street. And the ladies would, the women would talk, the men would watch the game and drink a few beers, and the kids would just run up and down, have a good time. And it was really a fun place for the neighborhood to enjoy.
For some enterprising young fans, the games were as profitable as they were fun.
I sold 7-Ups as a kid. It was a great way to make a couple of bucks, and it was a lot of fun. And we used to have a lot of couples that would come with their own little bottles, and since I was selling 7-Up, they were making highballs.
Money could also be made if you lived nearby and had a vacant driveway.
If you could park cars early and get over there and sell programs, that'd be the biggest payday in the year for you, see. You had more money than you had all year, if you could pull that off.
My kids thought they had died and gone to heaven because we were able to park somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 18 cars, on the front lawn, in the driveway, in the backyard.
The whole area up there turned into this Mardi Gras atmosphere. There was all the traffic was impacted, and there were vacant lots, anywhere left that didn't have houses on them. People would park buses on them, Nopsey buses. They would be chartered. It seemed crammed on a lot.
And it was an instant party. And the house was always open. If you parked in the driveway or there were friends or strangers, it made no difference. It was party time.
Through the years, Tulane's wins were fewer and farther between. But there were stellar moments. There was that Tulane-LSU game in 1973, a game that marked the first win over LSU for Tulane in 25 years. By 1967, New Orleans had a National Football League franchise. The New Orleans Saints called Tulane Stadium home.
I thought those were the most fun Saints teams, particularly when Billy Kilmer was here. We were the underdogs, and we'd be playing the big-time ball clubs, Washington Redskins, Detroit Lions, and we were a ragtag bunch. It was worse than I knew it was, but we were a ragtag bunch.
After countless prayers offered up by Saints fans, at least one was answered in 1970. In a game against the Detroit Lions, trailing 16-17 with only 2 seconds left, the Saints truly needed to perform a miracle. Saints kicker Tom Dempsey kicked a 63-yard field goal that still stands as an NFL record. New Orleans won 19-17.
At the end of the game, it seemed like the game was over, everybody was leaving, and they were trying a field goal, which no one paid much attention to, and then all of a sudden the screaming, the yelling. And
I was there through the third quarter, and I got mad and left. And by the way, I went to Audubon Park to the Batcher because it was a pretty day, and I said, oh, we're not going to do anything. And I went out there, and I had the radio on, and we had some cold beer and sandwiches when he kicked it. So I got in the car and went back over there. But the game was over then.
Everyone was proud that we were all Saints, that we were a part of the experience.
The last major football game to be played in Tulane Stadium was a Super Bowl in 1975. An agreement was made that Tulane and the Saints would share a facility, the Louisiana Superdome. By 1980, Tulane Stadium was dismantled. The university sold off parts of it as a fundraiser.
I have right now in my den, I have a seat on a chain hanging up there.
Today on the site of the stadium is the Riley Sports Center, along with student dormitories. But recollections of the original home of the Tulane Green Wave roll on. while football